I want to leave you with a few miscellaneous considerations that are important on sentence corrections as well. The first is this: the GMAT isn't a democracy. The GMAT isn't a democracy. Sentence corrections aren't a democracy. And here's what I mean by that. Sometimes students will fall into the trap of majority rule, that you're going to filter through answer choices based on which ones make a certain change the most times or the least times. In other words, let's say you don't immediately detect a wrong answer, and I said one of the things you want to do is you want to look to the answer choices for clues about where some of the differences lie, and you notice some differences, and the tendency would be to say, okay, well, such and such was changed 3 times, this other thing was only changed twice, so I'm just going to go with, I assume if they have it up there 3 times, that's probably the right answer. Does that make sense? That's a mistake. That's a trap you can fall into, and I'm cautioning you against that. Just like you don't want to rely exclusively on your ear, and instead you want to filter through the grammar rules and the effectiveness rules and the things that I have taught you. The same thing applies here. We do and can look at the answer choices for some of those differences as clues to tip us off to kind of what to think through in terms of our grammar and effectiveness rules, but what we don't want to do is simply go with the majority rules. Let's take a look at this example. So press pause if you want, take a look at this example, see what you get, just for fun. The most important food energy source of 3/4 of the world's population are grains. And give it a try, see what you get. All right, how'd you do? Well, I'll give you the answer here in a second, but I want to walk you through kind of what I'm talking about you don't want to do, which is that democracy, that majority rule approach. If you did that, what answer choice might it lead you to? Well, what are some differences in the answer choices? The word are, as in the original sentence, has been changed to is 3 times. That means that's probably correct. 3 is better than 2. 3 beats 2. Majority rule. 3 better than 2. Therefore, I'm going with that. I'm eliminating answer choices A and B. Oh, and look at that. Now choosing between answer choices C, D, and E, what are some differences I see? Well, I see the word grains as is 2 times. It is changed to grain 1 time in answer choice E. That can't be correct. 2 beats 1, so grains beats grain. Eliminate answer choice E, majority rules. The majority rules voting system then would leave us choosing between answer choices C and D, and you would literally just have to now choose between the other difference we see. Is it world apostrophe S or is it worlds apostrophe? Well, here's the problem. We shouldn't even really make that decision because the voting method has narrowed us down to 2 answer choices that are both incorrect. The answer, and kudos to you if you got it originally, is actually answer choice E. Notice it's actually the only answer choice that changes the word grains, plural, to grain, singular. That is idiomatically correct. In addition to some of the other grammar things that make answer choice E correct, the word are does need to be changed to is for subject-verb agreement reasons. The word worlds does need to be apostrophe S as it is in the original for grammatical reasons. And there's also a grammatical concept called idioms, which I will go over in part 2. But nevertheless, the word grain, singular, is idiomatically correct. It's how you do it. We never say grains is grains. It's not grains plural. Grain itself is plural without the S on the end. And so whether you picked up on that or not, that's correct. My purpose here was simply to caution you against the perils sometimes of going simply with what has been changed the most often and assuming that's correct because for some reason you think majority rules. Sometimes majority will rule, but there's not necessarily rhyme or reason to that, and that's not how we want to go about answering sentence corrections. So back to our miscellaneous considerations, the GMAT isn't a democracy, and my second point is this: a correct answer cannot change the original meaning of the sentence. A correct answer certainly can't contain a grammar mistake. A correct answer can't be wordy or redundant and have effectiveness rule mistakes. But a correct answer, even if it's grammatically correct, cannot change the original meaning of the sentence. And here's my final example, and here's what I mean about that. Take a look at this example. The possibility of massive earthquakes, underlined portion, are regarded by most area residents with a mixture of skepticism and caution. All right, this was a real former GMAT question. I'm not going to bother giving you answer choice. Well, A would be the same thing, but C or D, C or E, don't worry about it. But answer choice B was this: is mostly regarded by area residents with a mixture of skepticism and caution. Answer choice D is more like the original, is regarded, but it makes the correct subject-verb change, is regarded by most area residents with blah, 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 a mixture of skepticism and caution. And so, which is correct? Well, the truth is both answers are grammatically correct. If you're looking at that and saying, well, I don't really see a difference between them grammatically, they're both grammatically correct. They changed the word are to is, which has to be the case in this sentence. But where do the differences lie? Where does the major difference lie? Well, in answer choice B, it has taken that word most and moved it up in front of the word regarded, right? That has changed the original intent, hasn't it? So answer choice B isn't grammatically incorrect, but what it has done is that it has changed the original intent of the sentence, and therefore it is incorrect. Because most applies to what? Most area residents. Whereas now in answer choice B, it is qualifying the word regarded. While grammatically correct, that's not what the author was originally trying to say. It's not mostly regarded by area residents, it's regarded by most area residents. And so the answer would be D. So just keep that in the back of your mind as well. You won't see that often, but you may see it sometimes, and especially if you're choosing between two or more pretty good answers, ask yourself, does one of them change the original intent? If so, even if it's grammatically correct, the answer would be incorrect. So with that, I hope you found this helpful. Learn it, learn the steps, write them down on an index card if you need to until they become second nature. You don't want to be formulaic with it, but you definitely want to have a plan of attack when you look at it, and it starts with doing as much brain work as you can, trying to identify wrong answers on your own before looking at the answer choices. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the grammar mistakes that you may find, learn the effectiveness rules that I have taught, and with that, let's turn our attention to sentence corrections part 2, where I'm going to dive much deeper into the grammar mistakes most commonly tested on the GMAT.